everyone, so this video review is for Goodbye Hello by Heather K. O'Malley. If you want to check out my review, I have just posted that, so if you're on YouTube there's a link in the description below, and if you're on my blog there's a link within the post. And this is the video review, so Goodbye Hello by Heather K. O'Malley. This was a hope-filled second chance trans romance, and I really loved it. Kelly is close to her father, but his death has meant returning home, where she's got a bit of a strained relationship over the years with her mother and her siblings and her family, and therefore she's going to have to sort of rebuild that relationship because now her dad's not around. And at her father's funeral, Kelly is also reunited with Teresa, who she used to date in high school, and the connection they had back then still seems to be there. So they spend time together again, and it rekindles their feelings, but the question is sort of like this time, can they make it last? Can they make it work? And so what I really loved about this was the simplicity of this story, and yet at the same time it had some complications surrounding Kelly's family and their reactions and relationships since she transitioned. So the simplicity of it was, you know, Kelly was going home for a funeral. She wanted to be her true self this time instead of conforming to what her family have always wanted her to conform to. But if that's the only way she can go home, then that's what she would consider. She just didn't want anything to be disrupting the importance of her father's funeral. And I was nervous for Kelly, especially with her having lost what she thought was her own sort of ally in her dad. And her mother really then surprised me, because the way she treated Kelly meant that I had hope for them rebuilding their relationship from the start. Because when Kelly first got home, it was like, oh, is this going to be strained the way we're being led to believe? And it just wasn't. That all of that had sort of just, it was like everything had changed. And if that was really reassuring for Kelly, I think it put her nerves sort of back in sort of check in a way that she needed. So her mother really surprised me, but Kelly's siblings then brought quite a bit of the drama back, because they just weren't as understanding as they perhaps could have been. But once Teresa made an appearance, nothing was sort of stopping Kelly. She was going to own who she was, especially with her mum on side, and she was going to try and find the happiness she deserved, especially when she realised she still had that connection with Teresa, and Teresa was willing to explore that. So Teresa was hesitant. She didn't really know what happened with Kelly's dad, even though she'd been the person responsible for writing the obituary. And so when she and Kelly were spending time together, and Kelly was explaining, she was just a really great listener, and she gave Kelly all the time and space that she needed to adjust to them being back in one another's lives and potentially exploring their feelings for one another. And they worked through the awkwardness of the past. They really showed how much they had both grown, and they had just this lovely connection that I really, really had hope for. And I was like, this can definitely be rebuilt into something beautiful as well. They were both beautiful people, sort of inside out and everything. So it was great to have a slower paced story where there were lots of opportunities to get to know both Kelly and Teresa in a very intimate way through their conversations, and really get to understand how they'd been feeling and how they were feeling now. And they just talked and connected and worked out what they needed to do to get back to a place where they could explore these feelings in a way, because they'd both been through so much change as well. And it was just a really beautiful second chance romance. It was filled with lots of hopeful moments, happiness, and all that, despite the fact that it all centres around this sadness of Kelly's dad's funeral and his passing. So I was really pleased for her that she'd picked up an ally again in her mum, and Teresa and her siblings came round and everything. She really, you know, got back something she had lost that was bigger, and that's through her dad. And then it was just a lovely story that explored emotion and pursuing being your true self in a very sweet and wonderful way. And I really, really enjoyed it, and hope you will too. So I'll pop a link in the description so that you can grab a copy of Goodbye Hello by Heather K. O'Malley, which I hope you will. If you've read Goodbye Hello, I would love to know what you thought of it, so please do share, let us know. It's always great to find out what you're interested in reading. And if you're now intrigued and thinking, yes, I'd really love to read that, and you're going to put it on your to-be read list and everything, again, please do let us know. But if you do read it, I really, really hope you enjoy it. And I hope you sort of get that hopeful feeling from it that I did, because it was a really beautiful story. Bye!